Coming at you from New Jersey, the capital of misery and the place where metal forgot to die. This is Here Lies Metal. Welcome to another episode of the Here Lies Metal Too Many Notes New Music Review. Once again, I am Maledictus.
I am Samantha.
And we shall be your reviewers for today and all of eternity. Welcome. Alright, another review. What is this?
Today we're here to talk about the new album, mostly new album from Hellpoison. Hellpoison. Breathing for the Filth. Hellpoison.
I wonder if that means like hell, poison hell, or hell, poison from hell, or to poison hell. It doesn't matter.
Is a one-man band. The one man's name is Deathhammer.
Oh, that's awesome.
He is from Teresina, Brazil. Formed in 2014. This is his second album after 2019 debut, Burn With Me. And this came out March 19th, so we're looking back on this one a little bit, but we're not going to let it get by us. Released independently on Bandcamp and on CD by Bestial Invasion.
And I say they don't make CDs anymore. So, now it's time for the Here Lies Metal 5-point bi-directional classification scale, including the categories of genre loyalty, listenability, production style, musical complexity, and just plain fun. And remember, once again, neither end of these scales mean good or bad. Let's continue.
Alright, the genre scale, true to nonconformist. We're getting a 1. A 1 for true. This is our bread and butter genre over here. Some tried and true black thrash, speed metal, black and roll metal punk.
That's true with a V.
Everything in this genre harkens back to early Venom, Slayer, Bathory, and Motorhead. And there's a number of current bands doing their takes on this, on those four, but Hellpoison bears most in common to Midnight. And since Midnight is comparatively to these guys' old guard, you might even say Midnight could be an influence on them. For example, track 3, Bloody Tongue, track 6, Hell's Basement, could straight up be Midnight songs. Like, they sound very, like, just the riff choices, the style of playing, it sounds a lot like Midnight's. Did you hear Midnight in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that is the first thing I heard is absolutely Midnight. So these guys are very like Motorheady, like you know, obviously I'm not gonna evil Motorhead. Motorhead was never evil, but their riffs to me are just like very like in the Motorhead. I mean, but it's all rock and roll though. Like you really like, you know, but like more so like, you know, than having like a more metal Venom or Slayer influence. You know, like I just hear a lot of Motorhead. You know, but obviously all this music goes back to like the early kind of metal like that, the early kind of evil metal, you know, like that's what a lot of people are kind of worshipping here.
Yeah, he gets that kind of early Venom, Motorhead, which I think is kind of like the Midnight side, where it's kind of like those kind of bluesy but mean riffs. But I don't think he's just hitting that. I think he branches out a bit. Like that's like 70% of the album. But like track 5, When the Midnight Bell Rings, ironically, gets way more thrashy and black metal than anything Midnight would do. And track 7, Breathing for the Filth, title track, feels much more like Bathory worship to me.
The song is called In the Midnight Bell Ring. That's like Midnight symbol. It's like the Midnight Bell. Right? Yeah,
but that's like not one of the Midnight sound-alikes to my ear.
Yeah, ironically. Yeah.
That's why it's ironic.
Yeah.
But in track 9, I also took note because this guy calls himself Deathhammer, and there is a very awesome speed metal band from Norway called Deathhammer. And I was trying to look like when he started calling himself Deathhammer, like if he might have named himself after that band, like some people call themselves like Hellhammer, for example.
Yes, I am Hellhammer.
But I couldn't really tell because he seemed to come up, you know, not too long after them. But I thought track 9, Miles from Nowhere, could potentially be seen as kind of a Deathhammer inspired or in their vein, and that it's definitely the most furious riffing and the meanest and the most furious drumming on the album. Sounds more like an insane Deathhammer speed metal song than anything else on the album. But that was just me looking for Deathhammer influences.
But either way, they're doing that kind of like, you know, pre-metal kind of evil sound. I mean, that's what they're all going for. That's what they're all like finding solace in. You know, they're finding their spirit guide there.
Yeah, like 70%, I would say, is that kind of like Midnight sound like, you got a kind of like a harsh yell vocal, bluesy solo, some like bluesy, like Motorhead-esque riffs.
Yeah, it's rock and roll.
But he also sticks in some more meaner kind of first wave Bathory riffs as well.
Yeah, his lyrics are obviously his lyrics are obviously inspired by like Grindhouse movies and stuff.
But I also heard Lemmy on some of his bass licks as well.
Yeah, the riffs was very like was very Lemmy and Eddie Clark kind of sound. But anyway, what else do we have?
All right. Our next scale is Scale of Terror. We're getting a score of like 2.5, which is just barely poking into the terror side of the scale. This album is mean and lean, but doesn't get too extreme. It's hovering kind of, it's like a mid-tempo, never gets too fast range. So we're not in any insane thrash territory. It's the closest we get is what I mentioned, that kind of very speed metal song, Miles to Nowhere. The vocal is certainly not clean. But it's only getting like a mild rating on the harshness scale. Like it's like a nice harsh.
Yeah, his vocals are very angry. Obviously, he's very intense about his evilness.
It's harsh, but
but yeah, you can't with this kind of music. You can't ever go to number one. You can't go to like score one with Sonic Terror with this. You can never get there, no matter how evil and angry you are and what horrible things.
Pushing it, like the songs are punchy and to the point. The riffs are engaging, so that's all pushing it more into the listenable side.
Yeah.
It's extremely listenable. It's extremely easy to listen to. It's easy to get through. It's not at all an endurance test. It's pretty short, too. It's under 30 minutes.
Yeah, you can also understand everything he's saying, for the most part.
But, yeah, just genre constrictions. We could never go into the other side of the scale, so we're giving it a light rating of Sonic Terror.
Yeah, it's very slightly into there. So, for the Fisher-Price versus High Production scale, I give it like a 2.5. And, I give breathing the filth, a medium breathe the filth. It's like living in New Jersey, breathe the filth.
It's like a very death metal. I
feel
like
right as it gets gory. It's kind of gory too. Yeah, but I give it like a medium production rating. There's obviously no high-end recording techniques taking place here, and why would you do that for this music? That would be ridiculous. Like you just make this stuff sound ridiculous if you did that. The guitars are right out in front and dominant, but where they would belong. This is guitar rock. Let's face it. The bass is in the back there of the mix. So there's some like solo bass parts where the bass kind of has a little run there, but nothing complicated going on there. But the bass is really living with the drums where it belongs in the mix. And otherwise the tracks are all the tracks are very audible and clear. This is rock and roll. What do you want from him? The vocals sound like they were recording in the simplest of means. I kind of listen to the reverb and the vocals. It just sounds very basic. I'm just listening, analyzing that. And once again, but this is another example how we have a one artist band here. One guy writing and producing. And that like once again is another example, and we have so many examples of this. How that has no limitations. You could do anything, with just nothing. These days, and what do we even need bands anymore? Like it's become it's getting clearer every day. Just and finally,
if you want to play live, yes,
you hire a band for that purpose and you get rid of them. I don't know, bands are just so difficult to deal with, and having to work with other people.
This guy is in other bands.
Yeah, notably. So he obviously knows how to do that. But when you do your own thing and you're able to make it work without having to worry about other people, getting their fingers in it. Having ideas and stuff, you can't have that. But finally, I was asked this when we have a one-person band: are the drums real? And I'm listening very closely. I'm gonna vote no. Like I'm gonna vote that these were.
I noticed drums. In one of his other active bands, he is listed as the drummer.
Okay, so maybe he plays, but like, were they actually real? I don't know, based on this production level. Like, but like that. Like, I'm gonna say no. I could be comment down below. A Death Hammer guy.
I'm always going to come down camp real. I'm always voting real.
I usually vote fake, and I voted for these, and I usually, how that I always vote fake on the drum. Like, because I know like the capabilities of sampled drums. And
they sound good, which does make me think they're fake. But I didn't notice like that extreme like perfection. I think that comes with fake drums.
There are many methods to make them sound real.
That's true. That's very true.
But yeah, that's my vote. So that's just me. I don't know.
And I'll vote the other way for balance.
Yes, we have balance here.
All right, the note scale, counting the notes, there's not too many notes. We're going to give like a 2. In the enough notes side, this is simple music for simple people like us. He he's using exactly as many notes as are needed to make this kind of music. So there we go. We got enough notes.
This is rock and roll.
But he's not like, underdoing it. It's not sparse. It's exactly the right amount.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing it, obviously his music isn't slow, so you have like a lot of need for like a lot of notes, but they're like most of the same kind of notes. But it's rock and roll. He's doing what rock and roll does, and there's no need to get really complicated and intimidate people with that kind of music. So.
All right, the final scale, fun. This genre is almost always rated fun, and since this album got a 1 for true already for that genre, we got to get a 1 for fun as well. We're indulging in the standard themes of pleasures of the flesh and drinking and other hedonisms. It's barbecue music for your depraved Satan barbecue.
It's what do you call a Brazilian barbecue? I can't pronounce the word, but that's what it's for.
You should have prepared that.
Yeah, I just thought of that right now. I was like
for your Brazilian barbecue, which is very tasty.
I can't form that word right now, but you know.
Okay. What I mean. It seems Death Hammer is a classic horror fan as well. It's definitely easily noted that song about Freddy's back. And notes on the album state that some songs are specifically about the movie Reanimator and The Hills Have Eyes.
Lovecraftian, the Reanimator.
I actually haven't seen either of those.
They're kind of the Reanimator.
My horror preferences are very
it's a silly movie.
Snobby.
Nothing to do with the Lovecraft book.
Not these like gritty, low budget ones.
Yeah, he's into obviously the whole plethora of them. He's into like a grindhouse film, like Hills Have Eyes is very grindy, and then something very high, high budget like Freddy. I think he's specifically talking about Freddy Part 2, Freddy Returning, which I don't know was not.
Freddy's back.
Yeah, like not my favorite one.
But I took a note. He said there was a sample from this film I didn't recognize. 1972 Brazilian film Guru das Sete Cidades, which according to IMDb is about an unhappily married woman becomes the mistress to a sleazeball who introduces her to a group of Satanists who are willing to kill her rich husband.
Biker Satan Nazis.
And I just wanted to look at this, the cover of this movie very quickly.
Let's see what we got here. It's here we go. Wow, that's what it looks. It's gonna be like an Italian movie. They're all the same, I think. Like when they see, look, here's the Satanist over here. Like,
it's got everything.
Like the Coven over here, and they're trying to like influence her.
All right.
Satan,
I wonder how the movie ends.
He's got Guru das Sete.
I wonder if the rich lady ends up okay.
Here's obviously the clean cut hero. This guy right here. I think they have Doom Buggy too.
That's got to be the sleazeball.
No, I think the sleazeball is this dude, right?
No, because the sleazeball hires the Satanists.
Oh.
All right, we're not here to talk about this. I just want to look at it quickly.
Yeah, what an interesting movie.
Let's look. You have any notes on the fun?
Fun, yeah. Obviously, when you're talking about like grindhouse films and Freddy and stuff, obviously you can't really be like too focused with that stuff. That's just good times for everyone. So yeah.
All right, let's look at the art.
All right, so this artwork is
credit goes to Fernando JFL.
It's like it's almost like maybe this is like an oil painting.
Looks like a painting.
Yeah.
I really can't tell what's going on.
It's like a grindhouse film. Look at the cars. Like cars
okay,
racing.
Yeah. So cars racing in like a canyon.
There's like
and
fire.
There's a bridge on fire.
Satan's over here.
And Satan is watching the race.
Yeah, it's like hell's race, or maybe they're just like burning cars of the apocalypse. But I can't tell if they're like going through the dust. But it's like an apocalyptic world. I don't know if they're racing or they're just burning. I can't really tell. I'm not assuming they're racing because, I think it's kind of like...
Based off the content of this album, whatever they're doing, they're having a good time.
Yeah, and they're just burning. Maybe they're on fire racing in hell.
They're racing for Satan.
Okay, well, this is a painting I would like hanging in my house. Wouldn't you? Yeah. I'm not too big. Not like giant. But like the size of a record, maybe. I don't know. It's something I would hang up. It's a conversational piece.
Right.
People come over and you're like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, well, and I talk to them about it. I don't know, it's just me. So.
Okay, final thoughts on Hell Poison, Breathing the Filth. Pretty much anything in this genre. I don't care how derivative it sounds like, or we're giving it a total 1 for true. And I'll listen to anything that sounds like this. Yeah. I don't care if there's too much. There can never be too much for me. I will enjoy it all. So that's why I wanted to talk about this. Even though it didn't kind of strike me as so much standing out from that crowd, but just like as a nice addition to the stable of, black thrash, speed metal, black and roll, metal punk.
Evil rock and roll is
evil,
always good.
Yeah, and I welcome it, and this is the genre that I'm fine with as many
Yeah, and you know, when he's playing
albums as possible.
He might sound like Midnight, but I'm sure he doesn't dress like Midnight. You know, I'm sure he's not doing that. Yeah, I'm sure he's got his own look. Right? We can assume that, right? Maybe if he plays
That
live.
we saw a picture of him.
Yeah. I mean, if he were to play live, I mean, you know, he probably just looks like the way he doesn't dress in the thing, you know, with the hood. You know, because some people are commenting for Midnight. You know.
All right.
So.
You have any thoughts?
No, that's it. This is, you know, this is what you want to listen to. There's nothing, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing you're gonna find bad about this album. It's like, oh yeah, this is cool. You know, you're just gonna like this. Play it outside. You could play it at parties.
If you like any of those bands we mentioned, just listen to the album. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, you could play this at your barbecue. Your parents come over. You could probably. They're probably not gonna notice the evil talking about like the things he's talking about. They won't understand.
I mean, they still might not like the thrashy ends. And
Yeah, but, you know, the dad. There's a little bit.
It's still Sonic Terror.
Yeah, there is on the Sonic Terror side. But yeah, so that's it. So once again, thanks for listening, folks, and be sure to follow us on social media, including our Twitter, Here Lies Metal, Facebook at Here Lies Metal, Instagram, Metal Lies Here, and give us an email, hereliesmetal@gmail.com. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and give this episode a thumbs up, please. And that's good for the algorithm, they say, that the YouTube people. And also, you know, comment down below if you have any questions or any answers for me. And don't forget to ring that bell to hear of our new videos, which come out nearly every week. Thank you once again. Be sure to subscribe.